Yesterday was not only Christmas, it was Stranger Things 5 Volume 2 Day. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Let me know, what did you think about Stranger Things 5 Volume 2? At this point in time, I'm pretty sure everyone has seen it, is going to watch it. You're not watching this review to decide if you're going to watch Volume 2 of Stranger Things 5. So go ahead and spoil away down below in the comment section. No spoiler warnings required. Likewise, if you're watching right now and haven't watched this season yet, I'm not specifically doing a spoiler review, but I'm not avoiding spoilers because I just don't know who that person is that would watch this video that hasn't seen the episodes yet. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. And when it came to Volume 1, I was all in, thoroughly excited about where they took the story, the scope, the size, what they were setting up as kind of our finale, the new ways that they were kind of bringing in 80s pop culture with A Wrinkle in Time, a new kind of type of fantasy brought into the realm of things. I was pretty much just all on board with the entire thing. I didn't really have any particular big negatives with Volume 1. So I went into Volume 2 very excited. The teasers, once again, trailers were able to excite me for the fun of it, the expansion of the lore, inverting our understanding of things. So, how do I feel having watched these penultimate 3 episodes? I was entertained by all 3 episodes. I had no big story issues with where they took things, the new lore that was dropped. There's a lot of great character moments. There's some very cool payoff moments for individual characters. But also, as a whole, it felt underwhelming. And what I mean by that is that it didn't feel like we were building up to the finale of this show. And if you compare the build-up in Season 4, the tension that they were just ratcheting up all throughout Season 4, the danger that you felt for not the last season of the show, and compare it to us building up to the finale here, the tension is dramatically less. They keep telling us worlds will collide. And so that's like, okay, that's huge. You're telling me that's huge, but you don't feel it because it's just this hypothetical. We're pretty sure this is what he's trying to do. This is what we think what he's trying to do with our science and we've got our chalkboard. We're going to draw a drawing. Here's what we think he's doing. And so you're telling us worlds will collide, but you don't feel it. It's not what you're sensing as it's happening. And then just the lack of enough imminent danger consistently throughout things, which kind of like, once again, going back to Season 4, did like this really good job of having multiple different paths of imminent danger that we don't know how to defeat Vecna, and so we're having to desperately try and get strong enough to stop him in time. And so he's coming after Max, and so we're trying to figure out how can we delay that. He almost got her, but we found some sort of way to delay it. We're having our plan to go after him, but we're being tracked down by the dumb bullies in town. And then we've got Hopper over here who is trying to escape, but he's trying to help. And so there's like just constant nonstop danger there. And whether the helicopter pilot guy is helping or betraying them, there's this back and forth. With 11, she's working with someone that she can't trust. And then even amongst the people that she's working with, there's conflict. Then there's the other military people that are in conflict with them. And so last season told a gigantic story, maybe a little too big, maybe set the bar too high, but it created this constant sense of imminent danger, imminent threats, constant conflict on every front, where you just felt like this whole thing could collapse at any point in time or anywhere along the process. There is no room for pausing to breathe anywhere in here. maybe too much so. And we just watched the 3 episodes before the finale, and there are segments that have some of that tension to them. There's parts of it where like, oh, I felt that. But generally speaking, it just the overall sense of building stakes and danger wasn't present in these episodes the way it was in the past, in particular season 4, but other seasons as well. Even as simple as in other seasons, you kill off Bob several episodes from the finale. That wasn't like a finale death. That was significantly before the finale. And so as things are getting going, as you're starting to figure it out, there's a consequence. There's a cost of this journey that we're on. We lost something that we care about, someone innocent. And so even some of those stakes just aren't quite there, in which case it's not that I dislike the plot and the basic storylines. I wasn't watching them being like, why are we doing this? I don't like these answers. It wasn't that, but it was the lack of tension, specifically the lack of stakes, the lack of consequences, though we're being told there's a ticking clock, that we think it's going to happen today, we think it's going to happen at this time, but the way they're telling that story, you don't feel it the way you felt it in previous seasons. Even in season 1, where the stakes were kind of the lowest, because it was just, about one missing kid, or 2 missing kids, kind of. But it was so personal and desperate that you felt their urgent desire to solve this problem, find their friend, overcome this obstacle in a way that you don't feel it this season. Or you didn't in these 3 episodes, because I was very positive on the first 4. And so it was like a very odd kind of sense, because it wasn't like I was watching along and as we're figuring out how to escape, like, okay, I'm cool. All right, we're going to use Derek as a decoy. All right, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that a good bit. Okay. Karen Wheeler showing up, being the star of the show, saving the day. All right, gotcha. Did we have some payoff here with Max? And finally was like having this long journey of her rescue and big adventure in the process of her being saved. Absolutely we did. All right. Some solid character moments of working through drama, tension, Steve, Dustin, our Byers boy and Wheeler girl, like working through their relationship issues. Yeah, we got good stuff in this. But at the same time, like I said, it was that overall sense of it doesn't feel like we are 1 episode from the end. It doesn't feel like we've just got 1 episode left. And even in terms of like resolving issues and working through everything, you're like, how do you do a big slam bang finale and tie up all the loose ends with just 1 episode? It feels like we should have done a lot more. Maybe that's the other thing. Like, it felt like we had 3 hours of episodes, over 3 hours of episodes, and a lot of things happened, but it also didn't feel like that much was moved. Didn't feel like we moved the needle all that much in terms of like 3 episodes with 3 superpowered people and not really all that many breakthroughs, not really some sort of particularly that much of an idea of how they're going to work together. Like, we didn't really move the needle all that much for 3 episodes. And so like there's this very strange version of like a lot happening, but not all that much happening, and telling us there's huge stakes, but you don't feel the stakes. You don't see the stakes, and telling us there's urgency. It's the ticking clock, but then it also doesn't feel like we're in a hurry to do anything. Like, both times that Max finally gets to the point in time where there's a door open, like right there. Oh, it's right there. Both times Max is going towards this thing, finds the point where she's about to escape. She pauses. First time Vecna shows up and she doesn't escape because Vecna shows up. But there's a pause and you're like, no, why don't you just keep going? And when she pauses, you're like, something's going to happen. What are you doing? And then do our roundabout. They find the second way to get back to this spot. And they get there, and then they pause, and there's a 10-minute long dialogue scene, about explaining to the Wheeler sister Holly, like, you got to do this, you got to do this, and like, you didn't have this conversation before. Like, wait, you just what is going on? Like 10 minutes of dialogue, and so that like this sense of like urgent, imminent danger gets lost, and any sense of like we're having two storylines kind of where they're running while the dogs are trying to kill Max's physical body. And so there's like a couple things happening at once, and all of a sudden we're paused to have a 10-minute dialogue scene. You just let all the tension, all the air out of the balloon when you do that. Because it's not, I have to say something real quick and then hop through here because we got to rush. We have time to talk for 10 minutes. And then even in this third episode, they're telling us worlds are going to collide. We've got to come up with some master plan, figure out how we're going to do this. We've got no time to do it. We're going to go into the upside down, up the tower, and figure out how we're going to do this deal. And then Will goes, I got one thing we got to do before we're able to battle Vecna. I got to sit down everyone and come out. And I understand this is huge for his character. I understand it's been this thing that's been building throughout, so you want to make a big deal out of it. You're saying two worlds are going to collide, and you tried to intertwine he has to come out to all of his friends if he's going to defeat Vecna. This feels like a little bit of a stretch here, but also it's like one of these things of we're trying to build tension, urgency, and in the middle of like master plan to defeat Vecna, let's pause to have the coming out to every character on the show. And it's that sort of thing of, if there's imminent danger, the world is about to end, why are we pausing to have a conversation? Group conversation and Hugfest. And the whole thing kind of had that sense of urgent, but we always have time to have a 10-minute conversation. And all of a sudden, that urgency, the danger disappears. Despite the world's going to end, despite kids have been kidnapped, despite Vecna's still very powerful, despite, I guess the other one that is completely underutilized, you have a military force that is trying to hunt our people down, that has you keep adding elements to that they're impregnating girls and they're super evil. And so there's all these reasons that they are, once again, are a major villain of the season, hunting down our characters, but they're not used to add urgency to the stakes of these 3 episodes. Like, we have a whole segment where they go to a base, take out a camera, go in, save someone, get out of there, and the military's onto them because of this. But instead of it being, we've got to get in there and out in 20 minutes, or else that's how long we have until the police are going to get here. We're tracking, and like, you do something that creates an urgency, the stakes, that like it feels imminently like the military are right behind them. Instead of doing that, the military just feel like off in the distance. Like they don't feel like a threat at all. Even the way the season ends is you can just have a journalist drive a storage truck towards a military base. You can have a 20-year-old girl with no military training with a machine gun standing at the top of it, and you'll just easily take out an armed military base, secret military base with multiple barriers, towers, easily taken out by the 20-year-old skinny girl firing. And you're like, what? The military could be something adding stakes to this whole thing, and they're not. It was just like this very odd, like, what is kind of going on, that they're so close to having a version of this that is really compelling, but it's like they just eased back on the drama, the conflict, the tension, the stakes in every sense. The military's not tracking them down. We always can pause to have a conversation. I don't know. It's like they just like ran out of gas a little bit and needed to do one more pass to add the tension into it, because My issue is it's not the fundamental story at all. Like, I'm totally on board with the fundamental story, the actual character arcs. Notice every complaint I have here, it is not remotely about the actual ideas they came up with, but in the specific execution, it's lacking the weight that it should have. So anyway, it's frustrating because it's much easier when you're like, I just didn't like that idea. They had a bad idea, as opposed to, oh man, it's a good idea. Like, it's such a slick production. Sorry, I've been sick the last 2 weeks and my health is starting to give out as I'm speaking. Thought I was going to go for like 7 minutes and I did, and ranted longer, but much longer than I planned. But so frustrating when it's like, there's so many things that are so good and it's so close to the really good version of it, but then it's just missing such an important piece when you're building towards your finale, which is tension, stakes, and urgency. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'll see you again in a week, and we'll have finale review, rankings, all of that fun stuff.